Hello everyone and welcome to Season 7, Episode 47 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in CHIKARA history with match number 4 on our list, which is the finals of the Young Lions Cup tournament between Icarus and Shane Storm from the CHIKARA Young Lions Cup 3 Night 3 Grapes of Wrath event held on July the 24th of 2005. I have been to a lot of live wrestling in my day. I've been to Madison Square Garden. I've been to the ECW Arena. I've been to WrestleMania. I've been to every major independent wrestling promotion that there is outside of, anything on the West Coast. I've never been to the West Coast. But I've been, to Cages of Death and Tournament of Death and Survivor Series. And I've seen some of, the best matches of all time, right in front of me. I've seen New Japan. I've seen it all. And this match will forever be one of my absolute favorite live wrestling memories of all time. This is an absolute comfort match for me that I could just go ahead and I can watch and I can get a smile on my face, and it could remind me as to why I love pro wrestling. And sometimes we forget, about why we love pro wrestling. I can't tell you the amount of times, on a yearly basis where I get so fed up with some sort of a news story in wrestling, or, a wrestler that I've always liked, being accused for, doing something awful, or a wrestler that I love, passing away. Or the impact that wrestling sometimes has on my personal life and my family life of I dedicate too much time to it, or whatever the case may be. And I think why do I do this? Why have I been watching this my entire life? And then I go back to moments, and the biggest moment for me, it's my absolute favorite moment ever in wrestling, is when Ron Simmons beat Big Van Vader to win the WCW title in the late fall of '92. And I watched that kid run up from, 15, 16, however many rows back he is, run up to the guardrail and jump up and down. And I watched that clip, and it sounds ridiculous, but I think, this is why. This is the power that professional wrestling can have over people's emotions. It can bring them such joy. And this match, to me, is the mid-2000s small-time independent wrestling version of that match. I was in this building in Pittston, Pennsylvania. I talked about this in the Up in Smoke ROH Students match, video a few episodes back, where there was just something about this building on that night. I can't explain it. I was there. You had, a lot of the big, it sounds funny to say big independent wrestling fans and throw myself in that, and even just say big fans in general, but you had a lot of, the names from the message boards, myself and Rob Naylor and Barmark and Russ. Hope you're doing well, Russ. Big Joe and Mike versus Philly, my kill at the time, and Nick Manawa, and all of these people, in this building. And you got to think, some people coming from other places. I came from Canada for these shows, right? That's a bit of a commute for CHIKARA at the time, before the big King of Trios weekends and things like that. But it felt special. I went to all 3 nights of the Young Lions Cup. I ditched a Ring of Honor show in Philly to go to night 2 in Hellertown, Pennsylvania. I watched Icarus advance to the finals by last eliminating Sabian. And I watched Shane Storm have the breakout performance of his career, last eliminating Claudio Castagnoli to advance to this match. I talked about this in the last video about Vin Gerard, just being this deplorable heel that nobody could get behind. Icarus in 2005 was the exact same. The crowd hated him, as evident during his entrance, when you can see a very young version of myself get into it with him during his entrance, and you can see a photo of that in the thumbnail for this video. Had a bit more hair than that's for sure, but he was so hated. And Shane Storm, not the best wrestler. I'll go ahead and say it. Shane Storm, he was sloppy at points, but that dude worked his ass off and he tried his best, and he was so, endearing because of that he was just such an easy to like babyface. And you put both of those guys in this big time setting, this main event match of a big weekend for what at that time was basically CHIKARA's championship. But, we didn't even have the Campeonatos yet at that point. And it, in that building, that super cool venue, the Staircase in Pittston, with all of those people in the crowd, and it was special. The story going into this, Icarus, was establishing this career killer gimmick. He had put Jolly Roger on the shelf. He had put Mr. Zero, Shane Storm's tag team partner, on the shelf. So, it adds that bitter personal element to this match. And right off the hop, we get a super intense collar and all elbow tie up, and they kind of roll along the ropes all the way around the ring. And I always love that spot. That's just something simple that I love to start a match. And Icarus, hits this cheap shot, so Shane Storm, fires back and starts to roll with his offense, and, engages the crowd and has a fan hold up his stop sign, that freezes Icarus so he can hit him with a tope, and all of this goofy stuff. Shane Storm takes a big bump getting pushed off the top rope to the floor. That lets Icarus take over. We get this wild, shoot headbutt exchange in this match that I had honestly kind of forgotten about. And then when I watched it back and took my notes for this countdown, I was like, oh yeah, that happened. I think it was, these two guys feeling that they needed to prove themselves after Anthony Franco headbutted Cloudy and busted himself open, earlier in the night. But yeah, it was shoot headbutts, and Shane Storm hits this wild running one like it's a Shibata match, just totally crazy. We get, the original version here of the locker rooms emptying, which, we'd seen it done to death in CHIKARA, up until the end of the promotion's run. But this was the OG version, and I can't express how cool it was to see the locker room empty and pound the mat and start to rally these guys. You had the Kings of Wrestling and all of the heels behind Icarus, and you had all of the Technicos behind Shane Storm, and it was just really, really infectious and helped, do exactly what it's designed to do and help create that atmosphere and bring the crowd up and even more into it, which was just really incredible. We get, both guys trade moonsaults, and we get a lot of big near falls. They counter in and out of all of their, various finishing moves. And Icarus ends up getting the pedigree and locks in the burning wings of Icarus, which was the move that put Jolly Roger on the shelf just 1 month prior to this. But Shane Storm, he's able to get the ropes and roll out to the floor, and he almost gets, counters it into the air raid crash on the floor, but it ends up getting whipped into the stage. So at the Staircase in Pittston, it was at like a concert venue. It had this big, rise stage, and they would have seating on the stage as well. So these two guys end up fighting onto this stage. Shane Storm gets whipped into a wall, and his foot makes like a hole in the wall. And I can't imagine the owners of the Staircase were super happy about that, because the walls have these beautiful murals painted on them. But it leads to just this crazy moment where Icarus ends up climbing on top of a speaker and jumps off and hits a tornado DDT coming down on Shane Storm. That was just absolutely wild. From there, it seems like Shane Storm is done for. Icarus takes him back into the ring, goes for the Shiranui, which, was his finishing move, the sliced bread number 2 at that time. It gets blocked into a German suplex, which Icarus, fighting spirits up the same way Claudio Castagnoli did in the final pairing of the qualifier the night before. He gets blasted with that Japanese move, which is what put Claudio down the night before. Icarus one more time fighting spirits up. Chris Hero is so good at ringside, just jumping up and down, losing his mind, going, yeah, for Icarus, knowing that his little monster, this guy that he's molded and shaped into this killer, this career killer, can't be denied and is going to win. And Icarus runs in for the charge, and he doesn't expect what's about to happen. And Shane Storm goes completely out of his own wheelhouse and drops him with the last shaven unicorn drop, the finishing move of his, his dear partner, his injured, friend, Mr. Zero, the same man that Icarus put out of action, semi in 2005, and then pretty much permanently in 2006, outside of the occasional, appearance here and there. But he drops him with the last shaven unicorn drop. It's enough to get him the 3, to get him the Young Lions Cup. The elation of the crowd, standing ovation for Shane. There's little kids, in the crowd high-fiving each other. And it's everything I love about wrestling. A crowd that wants someone to win, that wins and gives them that moment. And we talk, we see so much talk all the time in wrestling about building heat and how heat is the most important thing in wrestling. Heat means nothing if you don't give the fans the payoff, because sure, you can sustain heat for a while and get people to pay to want to see the outcome they want, but if they never get that outcome, they will lose faith and they will stop trusting you and they will stop paying you. And sometimes you have to give them those moments, and those moments are the best thing that there ever is in pro wrestling. And this is one of those moments, and it's absolutely beautiful. And Icarus, gets carried out by all the heels in a great visual. Eddie Kingston grabs the mic and puts over Shane Storm for all of the hard work he's put in, in trying to better himself and to be a main event performer and to carry that Young Lions Cup. And it's a great moment. And like I said, I've seen it all. I've been to it all. I will never, for as long as I have a memory, I will never forget being in this arena, in Pittston, Pennsylvania, watching this match. It's crazy to me that it was 18 years ago. Sometimes it feels longer. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. But I'm so happy and I feel so lucky that I got to be there for it. There was a contest that CHIKARA ran on the podcast to Go many, many years ago for fans to write in their favorite CHIKARA moments. And I wrote about this one, and I actually won the competition. The prize was like a ticket to every CHIKARA show for a year, but again, Canadian, I wasn't crossing the border for every CHIKARA show. So to CHIKARA's credit, they made special accommodations for me. They sent me a really cool prize package full of t-shirts and memorabilia and DVDs and a lot of really cool stuff. And that's, something, again, that was really cool of CHIKARA to do at that point. But again, the passion, that I had for this match, I got to put into writing, and it won me something. And just being able to talk about it today really warms my heart, and it makes me happy. You can watch this match, of course, on independentwrestling.tv. Subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again next time as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.